What is up everyone and welcome back to another Figma review, and this is Figma number 243, the one and only Solid Snake, and this is the Metal Gear Solid 2 version, which funnily enough is the only Metal Gear Solid game that I've never finished. So there's the picture on the right hand side of the box, the left hand side of the box, the top, and the bottom. And around here in the back we've got some pictures of what it will look like out of the box and in action. Now let's bust this thing open and see what we've got. So there's that inner packaging, and so far this looks awesome. Over here we've got the weapons, one alternate face, a couple of alternate hands here, as well as down here, a muzzle flash effect part, and then around here on the back we've got that cardboard box. And also down here we've got the Figma bag, the stand, base, alternate hands, and a few other things in here we'll take a look at later, as well as these instructions. Japanese on one side and around here in English. But as always, on to the main event, and that is the figure itself. So there's Snake all out of the packaging, and there's no denying that this looks beyond awesome. Just on a quick first look, you can see this thing is covered in detail for something so small. For those that aren't that familiar with Figma, he comes in just over 16 centimeters, which is on the taller side of the Figma spectrum, and a good deal larger than Revoltech's take on Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid 1. Now moving on to the face, and at first this looks great, but then I take a look at the box, which looks like this. So just one more time, number one, number two. So far Figma really hasn't had the best track record with realistic looking faces. You can just think Captain America, Thor, Indiana Jones, they all look a little bit funny. They don't quite hit the mark. But even as this one is good, very good, it really isn't what we were promised. I know they say things like actual product may differ from the prototype, but seriously, his beard is sparse, he lacks those awesome dynamic dark eyes, and kinda just looks Asian. If this was the way it was advertised, fine, but this really doesn't look that hot. You might notice that the eyes do look a little bit screwed up, but that's because this is the way it came right out of the box. By pulling off his hair and his face, you can adjust the eyes with this little tool, and as you can see so far this is showing some signs of wear, so I'm not sure, but this may end up breaking pretty soon, I think. Also, I'll add that these eyes really do catch the light, which look really striking, but sometimes do look a little bit odd. Moving on, and the hair is quite the impressive sculpt. A lot of details and little spikes all around the hair there. Also, the bandana back here features a nice dynamic sculpt as well, and looks like it's caught in the wind. As you can see, Snake's sneaking suit has been perfectly recreated. From the straps all around the shoulders and body, to the pouches on the torso, as well as around the waist. There's a quick look at the back, more of those straps, some great full detailing right here, these metallic sections up here as well as on the straps, the holster here on the hip, and also those sections on the elbows and the knees that feature a darker shade of color. And I guess that would be the only thing to point out here. The sneaking suit is in a kind of teal, as opposed to a sort of silvery gray. But then again, I guess you could forgive that, as a lot of the game does take place in areas with a sort of greenish ambience. So maybe that's what they were going for here. So here is Snake with everything that he comes with. And that's the cardboard box, a spare wrist joint, one alternate face, 4 cigarettes, a muzzle flash effect part, his M4, M9 tranquilizer pistol, this clear piece of plastic, and that part you've already seen already for moving around his eyes. As for hands, we've got a pair of default fists, a pair of widespread open hands, some standard Figma holding hands, and they can be used with other Figma's accessories, a pair of hands for holding the cigarettes, a pair of these angled hands for using with this clear piece of plastic, which I'll get to in a minute, a right hand with extended trigger finger for using with the guns, and this is just a right hand, as well as this variant with a fully extended trigger finger, and lastly, we have this left hand, and that's for holding the handguard of the M4. As for faces, there's that default face again, and there's the alternate one, and it seems like all that smoking has finally gotten to his teeth. Next up is the M9 with the silencer attached, and this is all in solid black, and features some very nice detail. Next is the M4, also in black, and also very nicely detailed. And there it is with that awesome muzzle flash effect part. As for the cardboard box, that says Norishiro on here, so that means I need glue, and I don't have glue. So I guess I won't be putting this together. Man, I don't even have tape, so maybe I can just fold it together to see what it would look like if I had tape or glue. So there we go, it would look a little something like that. And last then are the cigarettes. With a grand total of 4, I guess they expected to lose a couple of those. They are absolutely tiny, but even considering the size, they do look pretty damn good. Next up is the piece of clear plastic. So basically using this and those hands I showed you for using with it, you're able to hang Snake off of stuff. Sadly, this doesn't work in all situations. You really do have to find a perfectly flat surface for this to work right. And even then, you kind of have to prop his knee against the wall so he'll stay there. But when it does work, it looks awesome. But then again, it does say to use something less than 1 centimeter thick, so maybe that would help. So now moving on to articulation, and as always, from the head down. So there's the head all the way back and up, and there it is all the way down to the front, and that is pretty good. Side to side, and that can go all the way around, and we've also got a bit of a tilt there. The arm all the way up at the shoulder. As you can see in there, we've got a double joint, so you get a lot of movement there, both up and down like that, as well as up and out. There that is all the way around. The bend at the elbow. The wrist is the new Figma ball joint, so you get a lot of articulation and movement right there. At the torso, we have 2 points of articulation up here as well as down here. Also, this can kind of pop up and down. When it's all the way out, this feels very, very, very loose. But when pushed down, feels good, but still a little bit loose towards the waist. So there is the ab crunch all the way to the front and then all the way to the back. So one more time, front. Whoa, that's happening a lot lately. So again, one more time, all the way to the front and all the way to the back. So pretty good, but that can pop out as you've seen. The leg up at the hip all the way to the front, all the way to the back. As you can see, the butt section there is flexible, so that can move around and it does not get in the way. And next, the leg all the way out at the hip, there's both of them, so he won't be doing the splits. Some rotation at the thigh, there's the bend at the knee, and next down to the ankle, there's the foot all the way down to the front, all the way up. That can rotate all the way around, and also we have a side to side pivot. Last up then is the bend at the toes. So all in all, the articulation is great, but this joint down here is extremely loose. But even when locked in, he does move around quite a bit and feels quite loose. So that is it for the review. Solid Snake is without a doubt an awesome character, and definitely one that is deserving of awesome figures. It may have a few shortcomings, but all in all, it's pretty damn good. I'll get the bad ones out of the way first, and that's that loose joint in the torso, usually not a problem, definitely not a deal breaker. The suit is a little bit on the green side, but like I said, the game has a lot of green segments. But finally, the worst of the bunch is that face just isn't as good as it looks on the box or the promo images. You can have all the disclaimers you want, but when something just doesn't look right, it doesn't look right. But now with that out of the way, the good stuff. The rest of the figure looks spectacular. It's so nicely detailed, the paintwork is excellent, the sculpt looks great, and it has awesome articulation. Combine that with a great little set of accessories, and this is definitely a must-have for any Metal Gear fan. So as always, thank you very much for watching. If you want to see more Metal Gear reviews on this channel, make sure to hit that like button and let me know. And as always, make sure to come back for more Figma reviews. See you next time.